Joe, go on.
That's all you get. Scott, what do open world video games need to stop doing?
They need to stop bloating everything. I just want to go to the place, do the mission. I don't want the mission to be, hey, actually, you can't do the mission yet. You've got to go find 5 sets of flowers, go find 10 bits of trash, do whatever that just would unlock the next logical thing that I can see that I'm going to be doing next anyway. I just want it to be a hell of a lot more streamlined. Just because I spent 50 hours doing something, anything, doesn't mean that it was time well spent. There has to be a clear distinction between the way that we spend our time in open world games and just spending time in them regardless. Which I do feel is emblematic, and yes, I am angry about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, by that game. That game is bloat incarnate. It's ridiculous how many different random fetch quest type things you have to do just to get to the next meaningful portion of what you bought into in the first place, and it's just annoying. I thought we left this stuff behind in the previous generation. Like, obviously Ubisoft became really not very much known for it with Assassin's Creed Unity, with that whole map meme thing was a big deal, and I felt like we were rounding the bend on it when you saw Naughty Dog's approach to this sort of semi-open world that was in Uncharted 4 Lost Legacy, and then they had it again in Last of Us 2, where it's like a focused little thing. You get a bit of a map, you get a little chunk of what would be an open world style design, but it's way more focused and it feels way more satisfying and everything's way more authored and it just isn't bloaty. So I want that general approach to design and creativity and gameplay loops, but writ larger, and just get rid of the horrific bloat where you're just sat there going, what am I even doing with my life? Why am I throwing crates as Ketchi in the underground part of Shinra Mansion when I could just get on with the story? Get rid of the bloat! I'm sick of it.
Open world games. Stop saying you're open world if you're not open world.
Yeah?
No, yeah, like, I mean, you know, if I feel like we need to redefine what open world means. Because if it's truly an open world, I want an open life. like I want to be able to live there and go to the shops and have friends in different parts of it. Like, if it's truly an open world, I don't just mean there's hills in different parts of it you can go to. I mean actually be an open world, be a kind of a universe that actually makes sense, which you could actually live in. Otherwise, what are you really? You're a big map, aren't you? You're not even an open map. You're just a big map.
Just a bit of it.
That's just a bigger map. You can't just make a bigger map and say you're open world and a game with a smaller map is a smaller world. That doesn't make sense. If you're an open world, I should be able to pick the apples off the trees. I should be able to raise a family, and I should be able to. Not that I would, but I want to be able to do those things. And I feel like open world, we've kind of nailed it down to and there's lots of different missions you can do in different places, but it's kind of lost some of that. I guess that magic that Baldur's Gate has a bit, where you can just go and experience little things that you wouldn't have had in different places. And I feel like we've kind of lost the magic of that with these big worlds, because basically you just have to pack it full of gameplay and it doesn't actually feel like a world that you're being open in, I guess. So I guess maybe we redefine what open world means and what it could mean for the future.
What do open world games need to stop doing, Joe?
They need to stop sort of stripping all the fun out of exploration, I would say. Not every open world game is guilty of this, but so many of them are. Especially Western developed ones, I've noticed. They're allergic to the idea of us missing a single thing that they've put in there, that they basically they ruin the feeling of it being an open world that you can explore and discover things in by just showing you where everything is. We've already talked about Unity, Assassin's Creed Unity, and its bloat and all of this stuff. You've got to pick up all of these things, you've got to do all of that. But worse than that, I find, is, the prime example is when I played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, right? And the sandbox in Assassin's Creed Valhalla is very nice looking. It's quite interesting, There's a lot to find there. But the thing that's so frustrating about it is, from the outset, you get out into the open world and everything that you can discover, every item, absolutely everything, is just signposted already. It's it's on your compass and it's a little blue glowy thing, or a little orange glowy thing, or a little yellow glowy thing, or whatever, So fine well, there's something to find over there. And it's always in the interesting spots. There might be this really cool looking Roman ruin somewhere just kind of distant on the horizon. But I'm not going to that place because oh, that looks interesting, I want to see what's there. I'm going to that place because there's a little blue icon telling me that there's something to look at there. So you end up getting there. You're not looking at the design of it. You're not looking at any of the architecture or how the artists have put this together. You're just looking for where the blue blip is sending you to open a crate that has some inevitably really disappointing piece of gear in it. Right, and so many games on it. I mean, Ubisoft are really, really guilty of it. You know, really bad for it, and especially with a Ubisoft game when you climb onto your tower, and it just splatters loads of icons over this map, just everywhere. You can't get away from them. You know, but even games like, I would say Ghost of Tsushima have the problem a bit where like the going out into the map itself brings up everything, and you can just have the wind guide you to it rather than actually having to find anything. And some of the games which don't do that, things like, you know, Elden Ring, which, you know, I think so many of us got such a great time out of, just doesn't do it. Elden Ring doesn't care if you miss loads of its stuff. And everything that I found in Elden Ring would be because I was standing on the edge of a cliffside, just looking around and thinking, oh, there's some cool little building there with some big guy in front of it. What's that there? Let's go and have a look.
Turtle boat. It's turtle boat.
You know, discovering a whole underground area by complete accident. You know, or thinking, oh, what's that little ruined chapel down there? I wonder what's in there. It's invariably a thing that just kills you instantly. But you always see something and think, I want to know what's on the horizon there, you know. And I'm not huge on the recent open world Zelda games. I like them, but, you know, I'm not massive on them. But they're great for it as well. Everything that you find there is something that you see because you saw it in the distance and decided to go there.
I'm going to go with something really tiny, but it rubs me the wrong way when I see it, which is stop making me pay for fast travel. It's so annoying. Even if it's not like, you know, prohibitively expensive and I've got it's just a tiny bit of cash or whatever and it's not going to mean anything. Just stop doing it.
It's fun.
It's just stupid. I think in the original Horizon, you had to have like camping bags or something to travel, or some item you had to collect. It was like, they were fairly abundant. I mean, that's one way to do it. You mentioned Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Scott. That does it as well, somewhat. You can move around certain areas for free, but then there's a certain point in the game where it's like, now you have a plane, now you have to pay for it for some reason. It's like, why? Like, why are these parts of the maps I have to arbitrarily pay for? Again, it's not actually doing me any harm. But why? I just don't understand it, and it's frustrating because, I mean, if you were to just bounce around a bunch, maybe it would cost you something in-game. And it's like, I've done the exploration once. That's usually how it works, right? You get somewhere, then you can fast travel to it. I should choose whether I want to walk there again. If I enjoyed the trip and I want to do it again, I'll go a slightly different way. Or if there's something in the open world, like one of these damn things, maybe I want to get that on the way. I'll do it myself. Stop making me commit to a decision of like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I'll pay for this fast travel. So it's just stupid. It's just dumb. Just let me enjoy the game. Right, yeah. Let me enjoy the game how I want to play it. It's as simple as that.
Red Dead 2, that'll be $5 to get the armadillo.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's a prime example.
What's open world? What should they stop doing, eh?
Hey!
No, me too.
That's a bit of Uno there that I did to Joe. I get it. Yeah, so I'm kind of actually like stealing a little bit of Joe's here because mine's a little bit more nebulous, but encompasses Joe's point. I do need open world games to trust the player more. And this isn't just in terms of an exploration side of things, although I totally agree with what Joe is saying there. As someone who liked to explore Skyrim by looking at the road signs, because you can just do that, and it's a great feeling of just walking around and knowing that the in-game geography will take you to the place that you want to go. I think that's thrilling. It's also the levels of empowering the player, and I'm going to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2, which is my favorite game of all time. I love that one to pieces. The weapon loadout stuff in that game completely contradicts itself. So the whole thing that they go from there is that you go from GTA 5, where you have a massive open wheel, and you can whip out an RPG from your back pocket. I get it, that's GTA's thing, it's never really been my thing, but I totally get it. In Red Dead Redemption 2, they intentionally scale that down because they wanted to go for a more realistic, immersive kind of experience. So Arthur can carry two sidearms, one to begin with, and then a long arm and a shoulder arm weapon. But I think this is slightly silly because I think that in essence what you're doing there is that you're making the player a jack of all trades. If I'm gonna be a cowboy in the Old West, chances are I'm not gonna be hauling around 2 6-shooters, a repeating rifle and a shotgun at the same time because that's silly. I might store a few on the saddle of my horse, which you can do in the game. But I don't know if they've patched this out since I last played, but I had an issue repeatedly playing Red Dead 2, where even if I would unequip weapons and make sure I only had like a couple of pistols and maybe one long arm rifle on me, I would go into a mission and be like, here's your shotgun and this and that, and I'm like, trust me and my choices. I do not need to be the most powerful person in a game, especially if the whole emphasis has been on you need to choose what you're doing. In general, I just think video games, and this probably transcends just open world stuff, and obviously there is a market for having a very uber powerful, video game protagonist, but just commit to our choices a little bit more. Let me make a mistake with a weapon. If I bring a shotgun on a long range, I'm like Elmer Fudd now. If I'm bringing a shotgun on a long range weapon, tell me that I'm an idiot. But let me learn from my mistakes, and I'll go and re-equip it. It really frustrates me, and it goes into stuff like the newer Ghost Recon games from Ubisoft. You can carry like a primary, a mini primary, and a sidearm. I don't need that much on me. Just let people figure out the roles they want for themselves. And this is why Helldivers 2 is so good.
Here he is.
Because you have one support weapon you can carry, a primary and a sidearm. Yes, those are 3 weapons, but they each have different functions, and you can really you have to make the choices that are going to work best for you. And I just wish more open world games would trust you to do that in the future. I don't want to have the entire arsenal of Fort Bragg at my disposal. Let me lean into different roles. And you'll get more individual playing experiences that way. That's all. It's Rockstar, just commit to the bit. I know you're gonna let me have the entire arsenal in the world in GTA 6, but don't force me to.